So team, welcome back. Day 11, our sixth and the final session for our data-driven framework. We're going to go through what we have done, but most importantly, we need to look into these aspects. Let me quickly get that. Where was it that I wrote? Day 1. All right. So team, what is very critical out here that you're seeing is uh, we need to understand what this data driven framework is. That is very important to be able to explain to anyone the advantages of it, the disadvantages of it, what industries would suit it, and how we build a data driven framework from ground level up. Okay. Now, in our project, what we have done was very simple, team. Let's see and analyze once again. So yesterday we were performing this task. And the task was very simple. I have a JUnit code. So a JUnit code does not need to have a main method like a Java code. So that is your prime differentiator that you'll notice. The second differentiator are these annotations. I have an at before, I have an at test, and I have an at after. So these are my main functions that I need to work with. Methods and functions we will discover a little bit more, team, in today and next day's class when we do keyword driven framework. But trying to get a good grasp about what we're doing here is very important. Okay. Now, apart from this, there were two more functions that we created yesterday. One was read Excel, and we went through this, understanding this. So what we are doing is in my before test, after launching my browser, I am reading this Excel. All I'm doing is providing the path where that Excel file, the whole workbook is, and in that I need to show where the sheet is. So that becomes very critical, team. So C drive, and I have ddf3.xls. All right. So here is my set of test data. Now I can have n number of datas, right, everyone? And let's say even this, I just increment, oh, it's getting the same value. That's fine. Some things are changing here. Just a few different values, team. And expected EMI, I'm saying it's out here. And actual EMI and test result are the ones we want to get. So let's save this as, I will do one more data driven framework, team, with you all. Okay. DDF4. Keep things very simple. I'm going to add one additional column. And here I will choose as to what I want to execute and what I don't want to execute. So if I say yes to a row, then I want to say as a communication that that specific set of test data I want to execute. So the whole point is very simple, team. We're taking one set of test data at a time and giving that as an input to the application. Once that application gets that input and processes, it returns something back. I want to fetch that and put it here. So my read Excel function in the code is actually making this easier. I need to say where my code is. So this is ddf4.xls. In that name, the name of the sheet is sheet1. So let's say I rename the sheet to data. Then I call this accordingly out here as data. Fair enough. Now, how is it that read Excel works? Once I give these two information, it takes that into fpath and fsheet. That is how variables work within Java. The first variable in this double quote is coming here. The second one is coming here. And these are separated by commas in between, team. Okay. Now, when we go into the code, all that we did was one where we went to the worksheet And to go to the worksheet, we went to the path first and then to that Excel file where we want that sheet to be present. And in that sheet, we got the rows, the columns, and the entire data. This data came into a two-dimensional array for us. And this, remember always. So when I have one variable, I just give it a name and a value will come into it. Okay. If I know that there are a series of variables that are linked to each other, I will give it as a row one after the other. And that becomes a one-dimensional array. If I have more of these rows, that's one row above, then it becomes a two-dimensional array team. Okay. So all I have to do is say n, and in square brackets, say 0 and 0. That's representing the row number 0 and column number 0. First is row, second is column. So we are able to get to each row and each column and get that into our X data team. We're creating the size of it first, how big that data will be. And in this for loop, as we go along, it navigates through it. Okay, so we will do a lot bit more for loops at our end, but you have to take this function as is. And this function is also printing out whatever it reads, so that way we can see as well. Now there's another function called write Excel, very similar to read Excel, but the purpose is very simple. Instead of reading information from an Excel, we want to write it. So here the difference will be, where should I write? So the path to that file, the name of that sheet where we want to write it into, and the data itself. What is that rows and columns contain that we want to write it back? That becomes important. Once I put this, then this is all set. So for me, what I would do is, see, I'm putting everything into XTD and I'm reading values from XTD, correct? How many of you sleeping or lost or totally with me? Anyone lost? Application, data, my Selenium, right? So far what we're doing out here is, once we read the data, we're taking that information and we're saying, okay, that's good, all set. Now let's read the data into Selenium. In that, we're using read Excel team to read that information. Into Selenium, I read it into XTD, which is a two-dimensional string. See, string, open and square brackets, open and square brackets. So it can contain rows and columns. Now the same thing from Selenium, I putting it into the application. Where am I doing that? In the code, I'm doing it out here. I'm taking those values and putting it there. And I'm seeing what is it that it should do. What is it that the payment came out, and the result if it's a pass or a fail. So that is coming out, and I'm putting that simply as an output here. Now we're going to work on putting that information back into where we got, or a result Excel file. All right, everyone. So now let's focus on that. How are we going to do that? The first thing we did was to go through each row, and we were reading our values. So this XTD is referring to the data that we have here. Team, so now comes the big question for you. Do I need to change the code because I added a new column? Do I need to change the code because we added a new column? Yes. And the reason is very simple. Let it be logical. Let it not be a blind reason for you on anything, team. Okay. Look at row number, line number 47. VTDID equals the thing on the right side. XTDI and 0. What is it pointing to? In the first iteration of my for loop, it will point to 1. So 1 and 0 means row number 0 is here, row number 1 is here, 1 and column 0 is here. So we basically have added 1. That means each of this has gone up by 1, the column numbers. Why did we add 1? Because I want a new variable called vExecute, and that will hold this entire thing. Okay, 0. Now I did not define it, and that is why it has a red line. So for Java, you need to make sure that every variable is defined. So now let me also put v execute here. So now my clause is very simple, or my condition is going to be very simple. All this is fine only if v execute dot equals. Whenever we're doing text comparison team or string comparison, we do dot equals. Oopsie. Dot equals, and we have equals ignore case. So if you give uppercase y or lowercase y, it should not matter. Yes, only then will I do all of this. Okay, only then will I do all of this. Everyone with me so far? Yes, team. So that is my condition now, and all my statements are going into that condition. One more criteria that we were talking about, writing back, correct? So before I write back, what should I write back? Where should I write back? There are two things, these blue columns, actual EMI and test results. Let's copy these two and let me create it out here. Okay, two more string variables. String v act EMI is fine. Actual EMI is better, that's fine. And comma v test result end with a semicolon. There's already a v actual EMI here team. I'll take this out. Oh, I already have v test result also defined. Good. I can't define it twice. I'm taking these out. Okay. So I have my input parameters here. I have my output parameters here. So should I say, let me copy this. Should I say that v actual EMI equals something? Now look at it. You'll understand the whole logic stream. It's simple logic. Once you get that main concept, everything will be easy. Column number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many columns? 5, because we started with 0. We're reading from the sheet. Okay, good. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the 6 and 7, should I read it like this again? So this is 6 and 7. Should I read it? No, I cannot read this like that because there's nothing here. I need to put data back in there, in those fields. So how do we do that? What are those? One is V actual EMI. So here I'm saying whatever is coming from my application is V actual EMI. And this big one here used to identify that. It's sad that it's so big, but that's fine. We're getting it for now. Now I'm saying print, and I'll say print actual EMI is plus V actual EMI. Okay. So this operation here, when we do it on numbers in Java, it's a math operator. But the same one, when we are using it in as for strings, it does something called as concatenation, or it joins these two together. So we have this string and I have this string. So it'll put that together. Now what I'm doing is, if my actual EMI equals expected EMI, which is here, then my test is pass. Not only is my test pass, but my result also is pass. Understood, team? That variable also I'll say pass. Now, not only did my test fail in this case, come on, my variable also should be put to fail. Okay, so now see, there is a if statement within an if statement. Which curl brackets to which one? Click on a curl bracket. So I click on this. Do you see this box highlighted here? So this, if true, this condition true, then these steps will get executed. Else, these steps are getting executed. Now, how about this condition? If this condition is true, all the steps still here are getting executed. Else, what will I do? I will put one more, and instead of saying test, and why should I say test one each time? I can just say test pass, and maybe here plus vtd I'll say. And here, so we're being more descriptive about our issues that raise up. Here, I'm going to say test skipped. So if it is yes, then we are executing. Otherwise, we are not. So it's basically skipped. And that's my status. And here as well, I'll say plus vtd id. See how slowly we're developing the script? Now, look at my whole thing. This is in my for loop, correct, team? Now, before this ends, what I will do is I will reverse the statement. So right after this if statement, my conditions have executed. Now update results temporarily in the two-dimensional array. So what does it mean? Here we've created our two-dimensional array. Okay. So in this two-dimensional array, all you do now is some fields are already there. Now you update the remaining fields. And then we will go and take this back into our Excel. So how we can do that? So this basically cut equals this. My control is gone. Okay, so I'm taking that value back. So I got that actually MI and I'm putting it back. But I'm going to do one more thing, team. Before I go into actually MI and my test result, as a default, first I will say I've got nothing yet, and test result I will say not run yet. So that is my condition precursor. Then it will go here. If it is yes, it will say yes, my actually MI is so and so, this and that. It will kind of go through everything. Now what we have to do is the last thing, team. Where is my at after? There's no at after, is it? I've had before. Uh, at before, at test. Let me save this as DDF9. Eight. We had it, see? I think I deleted it for some reason. Oh, now I see it. I didn't see this earlier. Did you notice? I don't know. What? PDF9. So save this. Everything seems correct in this. Now, after my test is executed, just my two-dimensional array is updated. Now I'm going to call write Excel, and I have a path for this, correct? Let's make this as a variable team. String, I'll say Excel path and Excel path underscore result. Okay, so my Excel path equals this. So that's one variable that we set it like this. That, and this I'll give it here. Okay, now the same thing I'll copy and I'll say this is result underscore res. And this time I'm going to try and put it into a different file itself. If a file does not exist, our Apache POI-HSSF will create one for us. So for us, that's going to be the method variable to pass. So write Excel into this, and I'll just say data, maybe, comma, what is the information that we're doing? And that's in XTD. Okay. Now see, XTD is out here. The information is coming. But since it is defined in the class level, see, this is the class team. Within the class, I can have variables, I can have methods that belong to this class. So any methods that are declared here, I can use it anywhere inside. If I declare it inside the method, they'll be born and they'll die there. Now, still seems to be an issue here, maybe an exception thing only. So we have not come to exceptions yet, team. So when I talk about the try catch block, we'll do the exceptions. So let us now once again understand what this code will do and then execute this more. Okay. Okay, let's see. Execute TDID, and then so this is yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has to go through 6 sets of test data, input these values, and get the actual values out for us. Put it here. If the values match, it will say pass, otherwise fail. That is what we're actually expecting it to do. And how does that test do? So open the browser, driver, go to the application. Next, we have these two variables for the Excel, and then we're reading the Excel, and then we're counting how many rows and columns are there in that Excel. That's what we're doing in my before test. In my main test, I have a for loop to begin with, where I start with the second row. So I ignore the first row, start with the second row, and that's where my I equals 1. That's my iteration starting point. My next condition is that I should be less than number of rows in total. That's my condition. So in the for loop, there are three things. Your starting point for the counter, your condition, as long as this is true, anything between these curly brackets is going to get executed, and incrementer. How many steps at a time? Do you want to do increments of 1, increments of 2 or 3, and so on? So that becomes a simple for loop. Now, these values that are going in right now are kind of helping us to put them into a local variables. So from the Excel, we've got it into the two-dimensional array. From the two-dimensional array, we're getting it into one variable at a time. Why into local variables again? Because it's right now clear for us what we can do on the application. See, if my execute is yes, I'm going to the driver, finding something by this XPath and sending H value, and then V down payment and clicking on the calculate. Then I'm sleeping for 3 seconds out here. Once this is done, we are calculating the EMI. Once this is done, we are not calculating, sorry, we are fetching the EMI, we're comparing it to what we're expecting. So it's a pass in this case, fail in this case. If this is not selected to yes, then we have skipped it. That is all we're doing. And we are updating the result each time in the for loop. So it should be inside the for loop. So this is the end of for. Just before the for, let's keep updating these empty spaces. So the two-dimensional array within Java will look exactly like this. No colors or formula, but the data will be stored inside like this. Okay. Now, cool. So let us do DDF4. Everything is nicely parameterized structure and we're good to run. So 6 test cases, team. Hopefully it should run, but you never know where issues can come. And you have to monitor your tests. Debugging is a big critical component that we will focus a lot of our energy team now. Okay, see, we've encountered an issue already. Now notice, what could that issue be? And one of the most important aspects for us as we learn into and go into the development is that you have to get better and better at debugging to understand as to what is happening. Why is anything failing? And the biggest teacher for you are these error messages, team. You need to really understand where these errors are coming, what has happened. Okay. So as I go on, I see before my test in my, it means this is running. I saw my browser getting opened. It said 9 rows, column 7. It seemed to have read all the data. That is what we wanted to see. Now my actual EMI came up and my test is a pass. Where is that? So that is coming here. And after the test is a pass, why has it not gone to the next one? Why has it come to after my test? Index out of bounds. And line 85, 6 and 7. 6 and 7. Oh, maybe it is not 6 and 7. See? Array index out of bound is basically very simple, team. Unlike an Excel sheet where you can keep on writing anywhere, in an array, it will create based on the size you give. Okay. The size I gave for it to create an array out here that returned was of size 9 rows and 7 columns. Is that correct here? Let us compare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. Now, how about in my code? So 0 to 6, it must be there. So it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is still EMI. So this is 5 and 6. And I have it here as 6 and a 7. And that is the problem. Do you see, team? So I've added a column that is more. Believe me, we're lucky that we did this and we're getting an error, we're fixing it. What if we give 4 and 5 by mistake? Then it is updating what was there. It will take us much more time. Okay, it's running correctly. It has taken 10 minutes to execute. But what? It is updating something. Where has it gone wrong? So these simple mistakes can take time. You have to be patient in a structured way. Try and find out where it could be going wrong, team. Okay. And it's just all experience as you keep growing through it. Now let's rerun this. I'm confident that that error may not come again. Oh yeah, didn't. But I want to see what's happening here as well. So my intent is to now kind of sit back and let the test execute, let the test run. And is my voice breaking? Team, for anyone else? See, already we're getting the result file here. No. Okay. Sri only looks like for your end, not for anyone else. Luckily, I opened it almost at the right time and it was closing. So I've got my results, team, and see my results. My results no longer have to be inside the, I don't have to go to Eclipse and see my result. I can see it here. So this was yes and it passed. This was no, so skipped. This was yes, but it failed. Why? Expected was 38, actual was 55. See that subtle difference. So what is wrong here? Maybe my expected, maybe the formula itself is wrong. Maybe the application is wrong, but it is getting is the information. This skipped. See again, each of them failed. Now, what if I copy this content into that original one, DDF4, saying that this is exactly what I'm expecting to. They match, right? Oh, no, 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 no. Here, sorry. Now, let us rerun and see what happens. Okay, everyone? So, save this and I could change this. Save this. That's fine. So, team, if you notice again, um, my test has passed, my test execution passed, but the result is not passed. It's like we go into the doctor for a blood test, and the blood test worked in terms of the doctor or the physician there could draw your blood as needed, as the recommended. Okay, if they're not able to get you veins for it and so on. Sorry, I'm using a bad example, but then the test itself failed. Here, the test passed. We did a test, and the results failed within the test. So if you look at the beauty of a team, my test data is totally externally maintained. I don't need to look at or know too much coding to write new sets of test data for my runs or execute them or look at how the results are happening. And a lot of applications can use such kind of information. So we're still getting few fails. Let's see why and how. Sorry, okay, I'm back talking now. So here are my results, and these failed. Why? Because the ones which I expected to pass have passed, team. This failed because the ones which I'm expecting are out here, Control C, and let's kind of put it back in these two for these two fields. Hello. Okay. Okay, I'll do one by one. And one more. Now all my data is correct, is intact. And let's say I want to do yes for all and rerun this. But while I'm rerunning this, let's not keep this open. So look at the flexibility of how many times I'm able to run this test team. And all, can you all hear me okay now? Yes, thank you. So in all, out of this simple script that we have, Now we'll be able to write and understand more about this data driven framework. So we've kind of built it, we can write and understand it. And let's try and build one more data driven framework, team. And I want you to help me practice on that, how we can build such a framework. So the test execution is going on. So it's done for the first two, and I'm seeing many more passes, which is good. We're getting what we're expecting because we also collected that data that way. Okay, perfect. So now I don't need to look at Eclipse for my results. I can just look at it out here, and there my results are. That's it, as simple as that. Okay, what did I give as inputs and what did come out? So let's kind of summarize this learning, team. What is data driven framework? Specifically, where we have test cases or scenarios which require to be tested against changing sets of input data. Examples could be even different user types. Okay, let's say one user should be able to see some feature, other user type should not be able to see some feature, or this financial calculators that you're seeing where it has to predict something, you want to be able to go into that depth, or anything to do with science, numbers, and so on. So large applications in big data and data sciences space. So you will start noticing as the amount of data increases, we should be able to know how our application behaves when the data changes. So it's like this. Let's say we build a new car, okay, automobile industry, for example. Now, in automobile industry, I want to know what is the best mileage I can get. Let us say we're talking about uh, a good vehicle like a Toyota or so, and they're seeing that on perfect conditions. What's a perfect condition? The road, the wind, the tire, the fuel, everything in the car is perfectly suited to give the speed at which you're driving in that spot. It'll give you that, but to be able to simulate and understand where it'll give you, they have to run hundreds and thousands of combinations, team. So see, do you can I say that okay, because it has passed for these sets of data, can I confirm that my in my application mortgage calculator, when I put home value down payment, then I'm expecting the correct EMI as expected? Can I say it on all conditions? Not at all. Why? Because I only have 8 sets of test data. That is hardly any to be able to confirm if this works. And this is not even varying enough. So my ability to create hundreds of sets of test data becomes important. And maybe this is no. Okay. So let's say all the way like this. So you have the ability to add more and more sets of data. Let's kind of understand the advantages and disadvantages, team. So the concept is very simple. You take one set of you take one scenario and you apply multiple sets of test data. So multiple X sets of test data onto one scenario and see what happens to that scenario. So your data is changing. You want to see if the application is breaking or not. Under what conditions is it breaking? That is all we are doing. Now, go back to the theory aspects of it. What are the advantages of it? It is simple to create, not simple, simple to create. No much of coding complexity. Yes, why? Because we haven't exposed you to too much coding yet, team. Just a little bit of read and write from the Excel. And we have what I would call as a QA engineer with no programming skill can maintain test data, run tests, and report results. So they don't need to know about a framework to be able to participate on it. And it basically has the ERA. How is it efficient? Much faster than a human can do. So there is no way you can beat the speed of this machine executing hundreds of tests at the same time. And yes, reusability. So we kind of build it once and maintain when the functionality changes. Okay. Now let us assume in this, there is another functionality that gets added. Okay. And let me save this as DDF5. And we're saying, apart from all this, I have a new one. Expected EMI. Okay, before expected EMI. What are the other fields that I can get? Interest rate. That's a good field. I'll just say rate or I rate. Now, if I write I rate anywhere between 2, 3, okay, and 5 maybe. Okay, anyway, just added a few more. So now the functionality is kind of changing into it. What is it that I need to do? There are two things that we need to immediately do to the code. First, let's add a variable, and that is I rate. I rate. Okay. Now, this variable I rate is coming here equals where the EMI was. So my EMI becomes 5, right, everyone? And then for sure this becomes 6 and 7. Now, before I click on this, I need to do one more thing. Find element, and I need to find the interest rate field. So right click on it, inspect. Input type is number step. Any ID is interest rate, class name param interest rate. So double clicked, copied, and input at ID is down payment. Let's take ID as well then. It's much more simple. Interest rate. And here I'm sending I rate. Do you see that? So very quick code level change we could perform. But yes, that required a little bit of Selenium experience. Now if I save this and let's make sure we're running for DDF5 and 5 underscore result. And there are like a lot of them there. So I'm just going to execute it. Let it execute, run through it. So it is so quick, team. This is one of the biggest qualification. Very important USP, unique selling proposition for data driven. So reusability, yes, you build it once and you maintain it when the functionality changes. So otherwise you don't need to. Now comes the accuracy. Perfect for such conditions as human eyes can get tiring through such copy paste efforts. So if I have to go through so many, I think it's already done also long back, and come up with these kind of results, team, it'll take me a long time. And each time I have to go and make sure I'm putting everything correct. What happened here? Down payment, ding, 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 ding. I think I know what happened. Oh, no such element present. Where did it come? Interest gate. Ting, ting, ting. Sleeping for 3 seconds each time is not needed as well. Just 1 second here and 1 second here maybe. What went wrong? Still seeing. Calculation part is the same. Nothing changes there. It had a problem here, so it didn't go there. Let me not close this. That way we will know what the issue is. Oh wow, 611.83. That's why it did not show anything, because it's too large a data, team. My data itself is out of boundaries. Ah, 611.83. Where did it get that from? Expecting EMI. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We messed up here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is interest rate. 5 is this. This is correct. So let's do one thing. Let's put a breakpoint here. Okay. And now we're going to rerun this code, team. And I'm going to show you the first time as running it in debug mode. Okay. So I've shared it. So we're going to run this as a debug mode. So whenever it hits the breakpoint, we're going to watch and see what the variables are. See, it's getting the incorrect variables. Yes. So we've clicked on it and now we hear. So see, right now the whole perspective changes and I can expand to see what my variables are having. So my actual EMI has nothing. Down payment is so and so. Interest rate, see the value here. Why would it get such a long one? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. DDF5, DDF5. I don't see anything wrong here, team. Let's stop this. Go back to the Java perspective. It's taking the wrong one, and that should only be happening here. Is interest rate number 4? That's 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is 4. No, yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's correct. How many rows? 37. Columns are 7. Even the first row itself. Home value, down payment, and in interest rate, we're putting interest rate. I don't know. Sleep, click. And then find this element. It's not finding this element because interest rate is coming as incorrect. Let me check once again. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6 and 7, that's correct. It's all correct, team. I don't see anything that's wrong. Let me rerun this. I hope this is saved. Test fail, TD001. Oh, it's doing at least something. That's cool. I just reran it, team. So the numbering was correct at our end. It was taking it incorrectly. Don't know why. But now it is. Somewhere it was entering something negative, I saw. But that's fine. We'll figure out. Or down payment as we type. So the beauty is it's going slow because we added that wait of 2 seconds in between. Once we test it, then it can continue to do much faster. Let's finish this document. So for us, accuracy is because you know, copying one line at a time data and then back to the Excel is tedious. We tend to make problems there. What is the disadvantage, team? Code level change if the functionality changes. Okay, that's what we saw. And that you require some skill. And that's primarily what it has as a downfall, and handles limited test cases. So it's not like, it's all the test cases are for data driven framework. So from an industry point of view, I've spoken earlier, team. Now, how to build a data driven framework ground level? Very simple, team. Let's talk about it again. Identify the application and a test. Identify the test scenario. Okay, prepare test data, write the basic Selenium web driver, Java program, run for hard coded set of variables. So hard coded set of variables means like the ones which we did in the beginning, where before we ran anything, all the values were there for us coming in directly. So I was putting it here. See, this is called hard coding it. So do it that way first. Once you finished hard coding it, then read Excel, repeat test case for each set of test data, write results back to an Excel. Now, it's an Excel in this case. You could always connect it similarly to a database or any other source as long as you can read information. Java that way is a great tool because there are a lot of APIs that help us to read information. So this is your general process of building a data-driven framework. Tomorrow's session, let's repeat the entire thing, but in one session, we'll cover it, how we can do that. And then we'll move to keyword-driven framework. Run for hard-coded set of variables, read Excel, load into your Selenium WebDriver variables plus Java Selenium WebDriver variables. Repeat, run for one set of test data. Repeat test case for each set of test data. Write results back to an Excel. And in this, we have not yet done try, catch, block, exception handling, screenshots, and so on. Next, we're going to do that. So team, that's it. Data-driven framework. It's as simple as that. But just to get to that code in a very simplistic manner is important. Any questions for me before I'll see you back all tomorrow? Thank you all for the very close participation. I've seen a lot of batches, but this batch has been really promising in terms of what you've been doing at your end. Good one. Keep going, team. Keep working. At least listen to the lectures and practice. Repeat the same things at your end. That is the minimum. As time permits, you can add more. All right, everyone. All the best. Thank you then. Take care. Bye now. Bye all.